Eli's dad, as far as I can tell. He was the one who Stefan was speaking to. He's all over social media and tags his mates in everything. Even...
Stefan. So? They're mates?
Yeah, but here's the thing. He only started making an appearance a few weeks ago. The golf club, pigeon shooting, that kind of thing.
So?
So they've only just become mates. That's a bit of a coincidence, don't you think?
Maybe.
Definitely maybe.
Come on, let's eat before it goes cold.
You go ahead, I want to check some stuff out.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
Hello and welcome to episode 170 of The Talk of the Street, an unofficial Coronation Street catch-up podcast that would have written up better notes this week, but Kelly the Chin's been bullying me and run off with my iPad. I'm Gavin. She's a scary, scary girl.
Oh, she's terrifying. And I pet a sheep today.
Must be Friday then.
It must be Friday if I'm petting sheep.
Welcome to our second hotel sessions of the year. We're in sunny Connecticut.
Yes. It's sunny now. We missed all the flooding and rain and...
Yeah, that was fun.
That was fun. It was fun driving through the aftermath.
I have never seen so many abandoned cars as I did in New York. It was like
the zombie apocalypse.
Zombie apocalypse, that's what I was going to think. We're driving through this and there's another 6 cars abandoned at the side of the road. And you drive on like half a mile, there's another 10 cars abandoned at the side of the road, and you're thinking, how many more cars do I have to see before I decide, nope, you stop and you fuck off back to Michigan. It was like, this is a sign.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, by the time we got there, the flooding, which had caused people to abandon their cars on the side of the road, had been drained off.
But why hadn't they gone back to collect their cars?
Well, maybe they hadn't had a chance yet. And also, Metro North wasn't running. The trains were not running in New York. So, they had no way to get to their cars.
There was a hurricane.
There was a hurricane. It started in Louisiana, and it finally got its way up to the northeast. And at that point, it wasn't a hurricane anymore, but it did cause a lot of floodings and tornadoes in Manhattan.
We spent 2 days driving towards it.
Yes. Never caught up with it.
No.
We were smart because we stopped in Pennsylvania to visit the first closeted gay president in his tomb.
James Buchanan.
James,
I'm not gay. Seriously, guys. Buchanan.
Not gay.
Not gay.
Not gay. I just have a very good friend that I hang out with and I've never been married. And I'm also a prick who rolled back Reconstruction, so... Dobby got to pee on him. Dobby has peed on more dead presidents than any other dog.
More than your dog.
More than your dog. Wait. And he's now licking his back paw.
Yeah, if you
we may have some whining interference or borking interference at some point during this podcast. But right now he seems content to lick his left back leg.
He's so... needy. When you left to get the batteries for the recorder, he just sat and stared at me like, don't you dare go anywhere. Because I will bark.
Yeah.
Anyway.
When you left to go get dinner, he jumped up on the couch and sat next to me and was like staring at me saying, don't you go anywhere.
Right. Anyway. So how are you?
I'm good. My legs are tired from walking around the fair today.
Petting
sheep, eating lobster rolls and fried dough, and not going on any rides, but providing the wherewithal for our children to go on rides.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So we're here for
I got to see big massive pumpkins as well, and no, that's not a euphemism for anything.
We're here for a wedding.
Yes, our niece is getting married tomorrow. Yay!
So it's a strange setup, and it's a strange time to record, and it'll be a strange time to get things edited and everything.
Correct.
It's just weird. I'm not used to recording a podcast with a dog
Staring at
a
you.
foot and a half away from me.
He is
staring
literally
at me
staring
going,
at you.
Oh,
Oh, now
oh.
staring at me. Oh, you two are so pretentious with your podcasting.
Your terrible Corrie commentary. Well, we haven't even started that yet.
No, we have not.
Just you wait, Dobby.
Just you wait, Dobby Dog.
Anyway, shall we preamble, my dear? Because, you know, we've got things to do.
Yes, please.
Give us some of that canine Corrie news.
We mentioned a few weeks ago how former Corrie actor Sean Ward attended an anti-vax protest. Apparently, he still had something to say about it as he attended another one and this time has been arrested for it.
You got arrested?
He got arrested in South Kensington's Science Museum. They were protesting and apparently it started to get violent. Apparently, 4 policemen had to go to the hospital
Yeah.
for being assaulted. So, not saying that Sean Ward was one of them that assaulted, but he was arrested.
No, that would be a foolish thing
So,
to
It would
suggest.
be foolish to suggest that, yes. And now for a pup date. It was very.
Pup date?
It's a pup date. It was excellent that you said give me some of that canine Corrie news because
That's why I said it.
I happen to have some. Kind of wish I'd put it front and center now. Oh well. Another of Charlie's dogs, Sarah this time.
Sarah the dog.
Sarah the dog has had her very first litter of puppies. 6 healthy retrievers. 3 golden, 3 black.
It was a little black one that
Yes.
I saw on Twitter.
Bruce.
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 There was a Bruce loose
Yeah,
about
about
this
the
house. Yeah.
Yes. I can only confirm that one is named Bruce and one is named Pepper. I have reached out to Charlie via Instagram for a complete list of names for all 6. Stay tuned for an update on whether we have a Keith 2.0 next week.
Or Craig.
Or Craig. Apparently, I found out after I'd written my notes that one of them may or may not be named Roy.
Oh, nice. Bruce's eyes weren't even open.
No,
Like
they were brand spanking new
Like a wee
poops.
piggy.
Yes,
So cute.
yes.
Charlie's so proud.
He is proud. He's a proud puppy papa. And finally, a new head alert. Another child on Coronation Street has been recast. Harry McDermott, who has played Max for 11 years,
Wow.
has been replaced with Patty Beaver. This is the 3rd child face switch on the show in less than 2 years. So,
I'm going to miss
Ruby, hold on to your face.
Max, and he's running up the stairs
And running back down the stairs and opening his heart to Craig, just for Craig to say, well, I'm off then.
Right, see you later.
Time to go.
Cheerio. Oh yeah, I think I read somewhere that Max has a storyline coming up.
He does. But it's an undisclosed storyline. They're keeping it very close to their chest.
They're putting an awful lot of stock into the young team.
Yes.
And it's merited, and it's been, I would say, successful so
Well,
far.
it's been merited from what we've seen so far. We can't really say whether or not Patty will do a good job.
No, but that's why, I don't know, who knows why
Who knows?
They swapped over, but
Yeah, there was no reason given. But it seems like a lot of the younger cast, due to the pandemic, has not really had a chance to be on the set very often. So I think some parents may be sitting back and contemplating whether or not.
and he's been doing that for 11 years.
11 years, yeah.
He can't be much older than that.
He's a little bit older than that, I think.
He's not in his 20s.
No. But I think he is.
Oh,
A
a
little
teenager,
bit,
right?
yeah, he's
so,
in
but
his-
he's been doing it
Yeah,
for a very long time at a pretty young age.
yes.
So who knows?
Who knows? And that's Corrie news.
It's quite news. There'll be a sad Max that runs up the stairs for the
Yes.
very last time.
Apparently, this new actor is also blonde. So at least we're not.
There is a similarity.
There is a similarity.
Seen stills.
Yes.
There is a similarity. Hopefully, there's not a voice similarity, just for shits and giggles. And now we'll podcast for coffee. donations this month. Nothing to donate
this
to
week?
our this week to our Afghan fund. But if you want to donate between now and the end of September, any money that we are sent, we will forward to rescue.org, the International Rescue Committee, for the humanitarian work that they're doing and continue to do in Afghanistan. If you want to send us, or if you want to buy us a coffee, you can go to ko-fi.com, that's ko-fi.com/the talk of the street, and we'll be very appreciative of
Yes,
it.
we will.
That's like 9:45. I'm on the Coke Zero now. Now, Hindsight Corner. So, aside from my usual overestimation of the distance between Manchester and Hull, I think I said it was a couple of 100 miles. It isn't. It's 100 miles. It's a couple of hours. Scott wrote to say, do you still do Hindsight Corner? Occasionally.
We do it. We have something to hindsight about.
Because you are wondering where Johnny's living. He mentioned weeks back that he's rented a house in Maudsley Street. It was just before Ryan and Alia split up, because I couldn't work out why Ryan didn't move in with him, who he's vaguely related to, rather than Jenny. Thank you for that, Scott. And now, this.
Welcome to John Oliver's sewer plant in Danbury, Connecticut.
We went to that.
We went to that. I can't believe we forgot to mention that.
I have a photograph of John Oliver Memorial Sewage Plant in Danbury, Connecticut. Fuck you, Danbury. Fuck you. So we were driving kind of here, where we are now.
Yes.
Saw the sign for Danbury. You said, oh, there's Danbury. That's the place that John Oliver got the sewage plant named after him. And I said, jokingly, we should go there. And then I looked it up on the map. I was like, oh, it's like 3/4 of an hour away. And we were already way late, thanks to hurricane stuff and what have you.
Right.
But you chose to drive there anyway.
You looked so sad when I said, oh, well, never mind. Then I was like, you know what? I'm going to cheer my dad up.
I honestly
and
wasn't
take him
bothered.
anyway.
I honestly wasn't bothered.
And also, you know, our mother was expecting us the next day. And, well, my mother, not our mother. That would be weird.
Yes. And illegal as well, I think. Yeah.
So we had time to kill.
Welcome to Last Year Tonight with me, John Oliver, minus the sewage plant. Just enough time to quickly talk about Ninja in a Cardigan.
Ninja in a cardigan. This isn't Daniel's creepy cardigan, is it?
That's right, this was Mary creeping up on Sean.
Oh,
and Sean called her
yes.
a ninja in a cardigan. I was Gavin and your eyes were burning thanks to an early morning hot pepper.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was one of the peppers that I grew last year. And I'd cut it up, and then I'd accidentally touched my eyes.
Tomato harvest had begun, and after vowing never to return, this time last year, I went back on the muck and started playing Factorio again, which I was playing.
Which you are still playing.
Playing today, yeah.
Yes. Instead of writing.
Yeah, I was playing Factorio and I thought, I'll play Factorio just up to the point where I get the blue science working.
Right.
And then I'll stop and I'll write the little story that I had in my mind. And it never happened.
No.
There wasn't many chuckles in that week's Coronation Street. Tim's dad's vendetta against Alia backfires somewhat as both Tim and Faye are growing increasingly suspicious of his behaviour. When Nikki tells Daniel to stop contacting her, Daniel hears her tell him to contact her frequently, even when Adam approaches him about her occupation. Shona gives us a flash of her bra at Maxine's bench before prudish Jenny puts the kibosh on anything further. I don't remember that. That was when Shona was going through her needs to get her whole phase.
Right.
Dave, cutting Kathy's hours at the kebab shop is surprisingly affecting. Sean is down in the dumps. Peter loves a meeting. And David takes care of the dishes. Our moment of the week was Kathy losing her hours at the kebab shop. Yikes. And our boring moment of the week was Ray Weinstein picking up some coffee. And that was Coronation Street.
That was really effective. That was like the first time the show That was the first time the show kind of acknowledged how the pandemic affects people.
It skimmed past the pandemic, yeah. And here was Kathy, who is needing hours and needing work, and
right.
Dave's finding it difficult, and so he has to cut her hours and give her hours to his
Chesney.
kids.
Oh, no. Yeah, to his kids to pay for stuff. And Kathy says, how can you do this during a pandemic?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. That was good stuff.
it was good.
Shall we dive in, my dear?
Yes, please.
So I haven't done notes again because
Well, I
they're
hope
kind
you've
of on
done
vacation.
some.
I've done some. I've written kind of what's happened, but
So a lot happened this week.
not as in depth. So I guess I'm relying on you to fill in some of the blanks here.
Oh, great.
Our first
I
storyline
cut a sheep today.
of the week is also our last storyline of the week. So we're going to get through the 3 silly wee stories that they introduced on Friday rather than
Right.
just focusing on what people actually wanted to watch. So the first storyline
Although,
is...
you know what? I have to say, I didn't mind it. The last time this happened, that there was like a major storyline for the whole week, and they interrupted it briefly on one of the days. I believe it was the whole Carla thing. It really annoyed me when they did this, but this time I didn't mind it quite so much.
Oh no, it annoyed me. I think because...
Because I think I kind of needed that laugh break.
I guess we'll get to it, but I think because of the standard of the job that was done on Monday and Wednesday, the Friday aspect of it, I think, fell just a little bit flat for me, and probably not helped by the fact that there was 3 storylines that I really wasn't all that interested in. The first one being brains. On Friday, Curtis has another turn and spends some time in the hospital. He checks himself out thinking that all the tests are pointless because he's been through this so many times before.
Well, first of all, he's taking his pills at Emma's,
Right.
and he's got to go in to get results later, and she's going to go with him. And he's working, and Sean is there for some reason to meet up with Emma for some reason,
Whatever.
because apparently they're friends or something. And so they're chatting, and Sean's banter is so terrible that Curtis passes out
Curtis
at the
pre-
hospital, and an ambulance is called by Sean.
Curtis pretends to die rather than listen to 1 second more of Sean talking.
Of Sean rambling off all of his nicknames he has for Emma
So-
for some reason.
Hemorrhoids was one of them.
Yes, hemorrhoids was one. Oh dear God.
Yikes. A joke I think that even we wouldn't tell.
Yes,
What do you think, Dobby?
yes. And
It's all
Sean
obvious.
at least admitted that Emma doesn't really like that one very well.
I wonder why.
Wonder why? Wonder why, Sean?
Emma
Why
doesn't
would you
like being
start-
described as something that hangs out of your arsehole.
Bump on your arse.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, so he goes to the hospital. The hospital want to keep him in.
Yes.
He doesn't want to stay in because he's been through this so many times before.
Right. And Emma's like, why don't you want to stay? They want to stay. They want to do more tests. She's quite keen, you know, and she's asking the doctors questions and stuff, and seems very invested in this.
Because the doctor's talking to Curtis.
Right.
And Emma's the one that's responding to it.
Yes. Because Curtis has been through this so many times before. He just can't be arsed.
And he was just putting on anyway to get out of talking to Sean.
Right, yes. And that's why they can't find anything, and they don't know why.
Right.
He passed out.
So Emma seems a bit conflicted with her feelings for Curtis and his likelihood of being around next week. But even so, she invites him to stay with her pending approval from Alina and Tyrone.
Why doesn't she just move into wherever Curtis is living? That would be better.
Do you think Curtis has parents?
No. Yes, well, and the reason why Emma decides to invite him to stay with her is that he, for some reason, does a Zoom meeting with one of the other people who are dying of some horrid disease. He has like a sponsor or something.
Zombies Anonymous, let's call it, yeah.
That's not, because I've already used that in my novel and I don't want anyone else stealing it. But anyway. And Emma overhears him voicing his frustration to the other guy about the fact that nobody knows what he's got.
Doesn't know what it
know.
is, and he can't
doesn't
plan
know
for
how
it because
long.
he doesn't know what it is that he's
Right.
got.
And so Emma runs off to Speed Doll with her pink laptop, and he comes down and he finds her, and she says, "Life is too short we have to seize these things. Why don't you move in with me? Pending approval. Because apparently she's the sort of person who asks her roommates if it's okay to move a boyfriend in.
I'd be asking them nothing.
Yeah, I'd be saying, fuck y'all.
This is Curtis. He might die soon. He's living with us now.
Yes. Yes.
Deal with it.
Also, take that horrid picture down and put it in your room so I don't have to look at it anymore.
Right.
You fannies.
Fucking people, honestly.
Seriously.
Yeah, so he's kind of blown away by her request or
Right.
her suggestion.
Her invitation.
Right.
Frankly, I'm just glad that she didn't say, let's get married.
But here's this guy who's just been, I don't know, magicked out of the ether as the love interest, the kind of bumbling, handsome fool who
Right.
apparently is terrible with women because he's dying and stuff.
Right.
And he's dying and stuff.
Yes.
And he's
Having a hard time swallowing all those pills.
he's got one for his kidneys, he's got one for his blood pressure, he's got one for
his
something
heart.
else,
Yeah.
and then he's got one to
make
combat the nausea that he gets for.
From the other
Which
three.
is very reminiscent of the pills that my dad was on. He had
Yeah.
a kind of cocktail like that as well. But
So
here,
that was kind of like what I had to go through back when I had Hep C.
so here he is, just out of nowhere. Seems to be collapsing with a bit more regularity, I guess. This isn't the first time we've seen him take a wee turn.
Right, and what he says to the guy on the Zoom call and also to Emma is, while I have the ability to refuse treatment and stay out of the hospital, I'm going to do that because eventually we'll get to a point where I can't leave. And so he's just kind of pushing it off for another day.
I guess my issue is that his character's a little more than Fish Guy at the moment.
He's a little bit more than Fish Guy.
I care more about Fish Guy.
We've seen Fish Guy once.
Yeah, he hasn't been on it in 10 episodes.
Right, that's because he's busy slicing Moira up into fillets.
With Pollock.
Yes.
So I find it hard to care. Here's this guy that we don't know who has this thing that he doesn't know, and we're kind of caring about it.
Well, I care about it, but I don't care about it because of Curtis. Again, I care about it because of Emma.
Right.
I want Emma to be happy as long as possible. This guy makes her happy, so I'm invested in him staying alive at least for a few more months.
I think it's making her a bit wet, though. She's becoming a bit dull as well. She is.
Stop being mean.
No,
You'd rather they just throw her into storylines where she gets her hand stuck in a vase? Is that what you want?
I don't think that's a good improvement on the situation, but I don't think this is all that. This isn't giving me very much, I guess is what I'm saying.
Fine.
Our next storyline today is we need to talk about Hope. On Friday, Hope has her first therapy session. Is it her first?
It's her first. This is her first time meeting this therapist.
She still doesn't know what the big deal about this is.
Right, yeah. She's like, oh, I already
Everybody's-
wrote a sorry letter to Alina. I should be done with this.
She's fine!
I'm fine.
No, I'm fine. She's fine.
Yeah.
Alina's fine.
Right, yeah.
She still doesn't see what the big deal was with setting the fire. That was hilarious. So what were you thinking about before you set the fire? And she's like, I was thinking about setting a fire.
Right, yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
I was just like, you answer that properly.
Yeah.
She didn't want her daddy to leave like everyone leaves, and so she's blaming that on why she was in
Right.
this sad mood that made her set the fire to stop her daddy leaving, because everybody leaves her, she says.
Right.
Her sister left her, and everyone's going, your sister? Ruby?
No.
Jade. Jade left her.
Jade.
And her real daddy left. Well, that's one way of putting it. And Fiz and Ty, who are listening to this, grabbed their collars a little bit, because here they are. There's no bedroom to send Hope to
No.
this time.
No.
You can't send her up the stairs to wash her hands. You have to sit and listen to this. And what they're hearing pretty much is a kind of admonishment of their parenting, or the effect that
Right. Or the fact that
drama
they
that she's
haven't-
been involved in
they
has had
haven't-
on her.
Right. They haven't noticed these things. They keep saying, oh, Hope and Ruby are fine.
Right.
Everything's fine.
Fiz has thought, maybe she is missing Jade. Maybe... I thought we'd sorted that whole thing out.
And also, it's tough because Jade's not coming back.
No.
She's a psychopath. She makes Hope worse. So, what do you do in a situation like that?
Yeah, the bit that I was watching on, not classic, but recent Corrie was when it was the last Moira scene, as it turns out, where Jade has called I think Hope cut her hand on a picture frame or something like that.
Right.
So she went to Gadas and told Gadas that she was worried about the bruises that she was finding on Hope
Right.
and all that sort of thing. And eventually Hope gets taken away and Ruby gets taken away as well, and Evelyn goes barging into the medical centre.
Right, with Roy in tow.
Well, no, Roy's already there,
Yeah.
and she barges in front of Roy,
Oh, that's
and
right.
Moira's like, I'm serving this gentleman.
Right.
And Evelyn's like, that's Roy's Rolls. And Moira's like, his last name's not Rolls. See, that's funny. That's funny.
Yes,
But let's
I
go
still
back to that.
detest her. I still detest her.
Let's go back to that time where
And that was the last time Moira was ever seen again because Evelyn bashed her over the head and shipped her off the fish
I
guy.
think so.
Yes.
There's also a bit where Fiz forces Alina to show off a ring, and she makes some snide remarks, and at the end Alina remembers that she has parents back in Romania and suggests that she and Ty go to visit them.
Right. Well, she does that because she's upset because Ty hasn't texted or called her back about how Hope's thing went because Ty is too busy worrying about how Hope's thing went.
Yeah, being there.
Yeah, which is what he's supposed to be doing. And Michael says, well, you know, he's probably afterwards just blowing off steam, playing some darts, which is exactly what he was doing. And Alina's, but I want to help. I want to do something. And Michael just kind of, I think just kind of flippantly and grasping at straws and just trying to end the conversation,
Right.
which has gotten quite awkward at this point.
Before he pretends to be dead.
You know, because at first he's like, well, you know, it's when he's talking about him playing darts and stuff, he's like, well, you know, it's like what I'm going through with Grace and Glory. There's times that I don't want to speak to anyone. I just want to be on my own and just process stuff. And then he says something about, why don't you just do something nice for him, something that he likes to get his mind off of it.
Mm-hmm.
And she interprets that as
Go to Transylvania.
go to Romania,
Right.
book tickets to Romania, go visit my parents who I haven't seen in 2 years, and drag this man who's at least a decade older than me.
14 years, I think we settled on, wasn't it? Yeah, let's go and meet your in-laws.
Meet my parents with this old man that I'm marrying.
Right.
And Ty does a 10-second smile fade there.
A 10 second? A 2 second, I think.
Well, I was giving him the benefit of the doubt. Does it really matter?
Well, that's what it's called. It's called a 2 second smell fade.
Oh, I thought it was 10 seconds.
Your attention to detail is astonishing.
It's a 3-letter word that starts with a T that's a number.
That's not,
It could be worse.
it could be tit. Right.
It could be 4.
So that's Alina showing off the engagement ring. Quite pleased about that.
Well, at
seems
first
to
she
totally
tries.
be
At first she
thing.
tries to hide it, and then Fiz is like, "Oh no, show it off!" And then Fiz gets a dig into Ty, saying, "Oh, I can't even remember the last time I was kissed."
Yeah.
Which is, you know, saying to Ty, "What the hell are you doing? Why are you still doing this? Why haven't you let her down easy yet?"
Have we learned nothing?
We have not.
Because despite the fact that Hope's got her therapy
Right.
and they're claiming that they can do the co-parenting thing,
Right.
they're still having these barbs, and Fiz is still doing the the passive aggressive stuff, and Tyrone's getting himself all flustered and rushing away and what have you.
It's because she. Well, first of all, Ty has no business buying a ring like that for Alina when he's got 2 children to support and doesn't have an awful lot of money anyway, and is always complaining about money and how he doesn't have any. So there's that. And also, Ty said to Fiz, you know, that he didn't mean to propose to Alina.
He accidentally got engaged, yeah.
Right. And so
But
knows...
he's made his bed, let him lie in it. There's no need for this. There's no need for her barbs getting thrown at him like this. Let him sort it out. If he's going to get engaged to Lena, get engaged to Lena.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Fuck it.
Just fuck it.
Fuck it.
Let it harm.
Let it be.
I don't think that Fizzy's involvement in this and her throwing her 2 pence and historically is doing very much good.
No.
Because let's face it, it's her throwing in little digs and stuff that kind of orchestrated this situation in the first place.
Right. Do we care about this?
At the moment,
Yeah.
not greatly.
No. I care about Hope. I care about Hope's therapy. I hope Hope gets better.
Hope's hilarious.
She's great, and she's very sweet because she got a lollipop for Ruby too. She said, "Can I take one of these for my sister Ruby?" And the therapist said, "Go right ahead." And that was nice.
That line about the fire, though, that was just superb.
Hope is just. May they never head swap that child because she is.
Oh God, no. But you know,
Delightful.
These are, with the exception of the little part at the end. You know, Curtis is moving in with Emma. Ty's going to Romania. Do you think he's going to Romania? He's getting a break before Ben Price and Jane Danson's getting a break.
Well, they got a break this week. We didn't see them this week,
Oh,
so
that's
that's
true.
good.
That's true.
That's good. I hope they're getting plenty of rest. But I can't imagine that Fiz, Hope, or the therapist is going to think that this is a good idea for him to just
Like 1 week into therapy.
ride off into the sunset to Romania. Yeah, nobody's going to think this is a good idea.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to let Alina... And Alina, just... Talk about somebody who's just become a shadow of her former self. How dumb have they made Alina, and just totally not aware of anyone else in the world but herself.
She's barely aware of that, though. She's just...
She's not.
If
That's
she-
my
if she met-
complaint.
If she met Evelyn, and Evelyn suggested taking Ty to feed the ducks,
Uh-huh.
do they go on and feed the ducks? The first person that she speaks to,
Right.
the first bit of advice that she takes, that's what we're going to do.
Right.
Regardless of what impact that's going to have, regardless of anything that's going on with Hope or anything else, regardless of... Remember, they were saving up to buy this place. I don't know
Right.
whatever happened to that.
And now she's spending money on tickets to Romania. Which...
And this is cue for you to say in the middle of a pandemic.
Yes, I'm so tired of pointing out the fact that we're still in the middle of a pandemic when it comes to these storylines. So
And life.
and life,
Mhm.
yes, but it's just I when we thought that Ty and Alina were done, we were happy, and then they pulled it back in, and we're just like we're not interested anymore. We're refusing to accept that this has anything to do with us anymore. Kind of like the pandemic. Ty and Alina's relationship is the pandemic.
Well, they keep on looking like they're going to finish it, and then they don't finish it. And then
Right.
they move it a little bit further. And then you think, well,
And there's no point to it.
I'm not going to get myself all... I'm
Nobody,
not going to get myself upset about this.
right. Nobody cares about it. They care about Hope. Everybody cares about the Hope storyline. Hope is delightful. Let's just focus on that.
Our penultimate storyline today then is Phelan Groovy. Todd tries to get the Undertaker out of the way from the funeral parlour so he can flush Phelan down the lavy, right?
Well, first, they're playing cards.
Yeah, because it's a quiet season.
Yeah, it's a slow day in the middle of a pandemic.
Right.
There's no one to bury
I feel like I've poked you as far as the.
in the middle of a pandemic. Mm-hmm. In the middle of the whole Delta variant stuff.
Todd seems to be a little surprised that there's that people die more in the winter. So anyway, I can't remember why he sends him away. He goes away to pick up probably something to eat or whatever.
Right. And but even before the cards, the Undertaker comes in with coffee, but it's not coffee. It's a chai latte, and Todd is disappointed that there are no chocolate sprinkles on his chai latte. To which I say, who in the hell puts chocolate sprinkles on a chai latte? That's tea. Who puts chocolate on tea?
Well, he has a hot chocolate.
He has a chai latte.
He always gets a hot chocolate.
It's a chai latte. Because the Undertaker gives him grief for ordering a chai latte. It's a moot point anyway, because there's nothing in that cup.
No.
There's no liquid, and there's no chocolate sprinkles. And he's really upset about the chocolate sprinkles. And the Undertaker says what everyone in the audience is thinking. What are you, 5?
Right. Well, I can sympathise a little bit. If you're going to get a hot chocolate, you want chocolate sprinkles
But
on it.
it's not a hot chocolate, it's a chai latte.
I think it was a hot chocolate. Anyway, so
Tune in next week
Todd,
for Hindsight Corner.
Todd is ready to dispose of Phelan's ashes when the Undertaker comes back, because he's not fallen for this
No.
subterfuge at all. He knows
No.
that something's going on. So, long story short, they struggle with the urn. And
They run around that casket that he has in the back room that is apparently empty because it's the slow season.
right,
You know, they're essentially doing a whole Scooby-Doo thing
They're-
around the
that's
casket.
very Scooby-Doo.
The Undertaker is trying to catch him. He's a bigger guy. Todd is caught in the back.
And to the surprise of no one, the ashes go
All over.
everywhere.
And I laughed and laughed.
Did you?
I did.
It was so obvious,
Yeah, it was so obvious, but it was still funny.
I guess.
This was
Do you know,
It was-
the two of them
the
together.
two of them together are great.
I
Anyway.
saw them described as Laurel and Hardy online, and I was like, you know what? I can go along with that. As a comedy duo, the two of them are working very well together.
Yes, they are very Laurel and Hardy.
Todd working with the Undertaker is a really clever move.
It's a stroke of genius because it's the only thing that humanizes Todd.
It really is. I mean, you can put Todd with Billy as much as you like, and he's never going to be any more than just a prick.
A mustache twirling demon.
But you put him with the Undertaker, and you kind of start to forget about the whole Billy stuff, and you start to forget about all the things that Todd's had his hand in that's been of a less than honest source, and
Yes.
the pews getting sold, and the heat pump getting sold, and being responsible for Summer getting knocked down, and the piano getting smashed,
And
and
threatening
breaking
that
up
kid, what's his name?
Will.
Will.
All that stuff, you kind of forget about it a little bit when he's with Undertaker.
Yeah.
He's just
Like I said, it
He's just an
humanizes
apprentice.
him.
It's-
He becomes almost likable.
it's the master and apprentice kind of
Yes.
dynamic that
Yes.
seems to work really well with the two of them.
I really enjoy it.
Yeah. It also kind of made me think about what Todd expects in the way of forgiveness.
At least we're not dwelling on that anymore. At least we're not having the storyline where he does essentially what Hope has done,
Right.
saying, "I've already written a sorry letter.
Mm-hmm.
Billy's fine. He'll forgive me and take me back."
So the ashes spilt on the carpet that generate yet more slapstick humour and
Absolutely.
the question mark of how are we going to retrieve these ashes.
The Undertaker does the right thing and grabs a broom and a dustpan so that he can collect it all and put it all back in.
Mm-hmm.
And you would think in that tube there would have been like a sealed plastic bag or something, but never mind. And then Todd
He gets the Hoover
plugs
out.
in the Hoover.
Yeah, he gets the Hoover out.
And that was hilarious. The Undertaker's like, no, and unplugs it and everything. And that was so funny.
And Eileen comes in and sees what's going on and thinks
Right.
that they're using somebody's ashes as shaken back.
Right?
Was shaken back a thing here?
Well, we have like that
Something
powder
like it, right?
stuff that
Right.
you put on the carpet, and then you vacuum it up, and it collects like
Right, and that's a shaken back.
Yeah.
And it makes a room smell fresh.
right,
Do the shaken back and put the freshness back. Do the shaken back and put the freshness back. If your carpet smells fresh, your room does too. Every time you vacuum, remember what to do. Do the shaken back and put the freshness back.
y'all's commercials are rubbish
I think. Yeah, she thinks that this is kind of
unless there are meerkats involved.
elderly shaken back stuff. So they explain it away by saying that this was an unclaimed old
Pensioner,
lady,
yeah, 91-year-old woman
5
named
years,
Pat.
named Pat
Freeman
Freeman
or something.
whatever. And Eileen predictably feels heart sorry for this old biddy who
Yes.
has no family left to claim her ashes, and
Right.
so now wants to give the old dear a bit of a
Right.
send off.
And
Little realising that these are the ashes of her former husband and serial killer Pat Phelan.
Right. Yeah, and she's like, well, what do you do with them? And the Undertaker's like, well, after 5 years, we have kind of a memorial garden that we just kind of spread them in. And Eileen's like, oh, well, how long has she been here?
5 years.
And Todd just immediately says 5 years. The Undertaker's looking at him with a very hearty face.
Oliver Hardy face.
Yes,
Yeah,
a very
right.
Oliver Hardy face. You know, with the eyes bulging out and everything. He just needs one of those tiny, tiny Hitler mustaches.
Mm-hmm. The
And a bowler hat.
The toothbrush moustache.
Yes.
Yeah. Tony Maudsley is really digging deep into his
Right.
pained expressions
Absolutely.
suitcase
And
to.
doing a great job.
Yes, they're almost on a par with Steve Muppet faces.
Yes.
Or Dev, just regular Dev.
Yes. Dev being Dev.
Right. So, why don't they just say to her, this is Pat Phelan?
I don't know. Todd seems to think that she would do a Eileen smash if she was to know that Pat Phelan was stuck in the closet. Frankly, I don't think she'd care.
The
She
man's
would-
dead.
He's dead. I think
This is proof of that.
she'd be
surely.
like, good. Keep him in a closet where nobody thinks about him. I think she'll be more upset if she finds out that they tricked her into spreading Pat's ashes.
It's the law of Coronation Street, as always. She's going to be more upset that she gets lied to, and yet they continually lie to her. She'd have been upset,
Right.
I'm sure.
And
But would she have...
the Undertaker was about ready to tell her the truth before Todd starts talking about the 91-year-old pensioner.
Right. Pat, say, whoever.
Pat, see,
Right. Yeah, I don't know why... Well, I do know why.
Right.
It's
It's to be funny.
and let's spin this out for a little bit. And we
Right.
have a trial here that's taken up 2/3 of the episode, and we have
Right.
a third that's left to fill.
And
so
it's
let's
all
throw in
very
some of this.
serious and everything, so let's do something lighthearted
Right.
and joke about with ashes.
Yeah, I like this a lot,
Yeah, me too.
and I'm, despite myself, warming quite considerably towards Todd in this environment.
Yes. Only when he is with the Undertaker.
Right.
Any other time we hate Todd.
All right, so we haven't really talked about it, and this is obviously the main event of the week.
The main event.
Let's talk about memories of Seb, shall we? On Monday, Nina hears music in Roy's Rolls that triggers a memory of the music that was playing, or music that she'd heard during the attack.
No.
No?
She hears music that she remembers hearing when Seb stopped on his way to go pick up that necklace for his mother.
Right. And this, along with Abby producing the toy ring, because maybe this will help you, it encourages Nina to have an idea, because she's getting little bits and pieces of these memories coming back to her, and she
Right.
needs something that's going to trigger more of it. She has the idea of going back to the
Right, and walking through.
Right.
And Abby has this idea, and Abby brings this little bag of Seb's effects of the things that was stuck in his pockets, which, thanks, Abby, for thinking about this 4 months later.
I don't know why they didn't do the reconstruction much sooner.
Yeah.
Because Abby's had experience of this when, was it Debbie or Ray? Something happened in the bistro, and
Right.
she got knocked. Did she get knocked out? I can't remember. But whatever, it looked like Debbie had killed Ray.
Right.
And Abby reconstructed it all in her head by going back to the scene,
Right.
by going back to
Yes.
the bistro, and remembered Debbie was there
Right.
when she got attacked.
Yes.
So she doesn't think to say to Nina,
Well, it kind of
Maybe in
sounds. It
June.
kind of sounds like Nina did go and walk through. It's that bag of evidence that the police gave
The
her.
toy
You
ring
know,
really is the
and
key.
she's that is absolutely the key, because that's the thing that triggers her. And it's funny because I remember when that ring fell off, and we dwelled on it so long during the attack.
right,
Because we couldn't see people actually getting kicked or anything at that point because of the pandemic
right.
that we are still in. I was always thinking in the back of my head throughout all of this, where's that ring? Why is nobody talking about that ring?
Mm-hmm.
So it's good. So they go and they walk through and everything, and the more she walks, the more she remembers.
Yeah. She takes Asha, Abby and Summer along for the ride. They reenact some of the events, which helps Nina remember the route that she took, and that she remembers how she ran away from the attack, because she assumed that Seb would just get up and would be behind her, and so she's beating herself up about that, about how she ran away from it.
And she remembers that they doubled back and that they hid for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very sweet because we got to see Seb and Nina kiss
Right.
and actually see them kiss.
And this was something that I'd mentioned to you through the week, that I'd read an interview with Molly Gallagher saying that all the way through the relationship that she had with Seb, for however long that lasted, a month or whatever, she was never closer than 6 feet away from him.
Right.
And then this was the first time, the first scene that they have together where they're close enough to kiss.
Right, and he's
He's already
playing
dead.
with her,
Right.
playing with her hair and everything, and it's so sweet, and it's so cute, and it's so wonderful that it just breaks your heart all over again that they didn't get more time together.
But what a great way to tell a love story like that, where the chemistry was really, we remarked upon how strong the chemistry was, and it was strong between Nina and Asha as well. And
But not as strong.
Not as strong, but I presume that they went through the same kind of restrictions where they couldn't be standing so close to each other. But the fact that they managed to sell a love affair twice with
Yes.
Nina,
Absolutely. During a pandemic.
where no one was standing 6 feet near her,
Right.
is remarkable.
Absolutely.
Absolutely remarkable. So, yeah, and then Nina, as she gets to the point where she was remembering being on the ground, and there's a horrible scene where the camera pulls away from her remembering being on the ground,
Right.
and the sound effects and the sound landscape in these scenes is really, really remarkable.
Absolutely.
Because you don't see anything, but you hear
No.
it, and it's enough that you hear it in the back of your throat. It's like when a marching band goes by and you hear the drum beating in your throat. It's like that when you hear these kicks
Yes.
that are being landed upon Seb that you don't see. But then you also see, or you hear a kick that's been landed on Nina from somebody that you don't see because they're behind a car, but
Right.
she's on the ground, and
And
you see her jaw.
move.
And
Oh.
it was, holy shit,
Yeah, it
that
was-
was amazing,
Yeah, it really
amazingly
was.
effective.
Yes.
But she, through all that, now sees what happened,
Yes.
which was Corrie was out of control, kicking and kicking and kicking, and Kelly, as she has been saying, was
Right.
the one who was trying
To stop
it happening, but Corrie was far too strong for her,
And far
pushed
too
her
big.
out the way,
Yeah.
and continued to lay more and more blows in on Seb's head.
Yes.
I don't know if we were supposed to be surprised by that, because I felt that this was obvious, that
Yes.
it was obviously Corrie,
Right.
and it was obviously, if Kelly was involved in it, maybe. The real shock was that Kelly had nothing to do with it. Well, she had nothing to do with the beating.
Right.
She had plenty to do with what had happened, which had nothing
Right.
to do with the actual end of it. Mm-hmm. But it was like, we've expected this for so long,
Right.
and now here's the evidence of it, and yet it still came as a little bit of a surprise and a shock to see him standing there
Yes.
over Seb's body. Meanwhile, Sabeen is with ITV Corrie, and they're going through the events from his point of view again, and he's telling a story of a superhuman Kelly the Chin, who did a flying sidekick,
Right.
like Bruce Lee.
She's the Karate Kid. She's the Karate Kelly. And Sabeen keeps a straight face throughout all of this and believes him.
Well, I thought because she keeps such a straight face, it was like she's smelling a fart here.
Well, and it does seem that she kind of smells a fart because she says to him, because at first he's like, no, I wasn't there. Wasn't involved in anything. And she kind of has to stop him and say, yeah, you were. This is stuff that's already on the record that
Right.
you were there. Don't you remember you were there? And then he's like, oh, yeah, that's right. So Kelly does this karate chop kick on the back of Seb's back.
She shouts,
knock him
"Hi-ya!"
down.
And she does it.
And then I was not able to restrain this tiny girl with my... Apparently he's 6'1".
Yeah, I can believe it. Well, we'll get to that later. So, yeah, Sabeen, I thought she wasn't entirely buying it, because ITV Corrie looks far too cocky for someone
Right.
so young facing such a serious charge, but
Right.
she knows that they have a strong case and Kelly has a weak one, so probably reckons that they can pass the blame. In the cells, ITV Corrie remembers his change of clothes and disposing of a rucksack in the river,
That floats for some reason.
and how easily he duped Asha, and we also see him berating a nervous Kelly the Chin outside the flats.
Yes, and
later.
threatening her.
He really is remorseless. Meanwhile, Kelly the Chin is doing the same with Imran. She takes news of the expert being a doofus and the option of pleading guilty to manslaughter quite badly, and we go through her version of events, which jives with what Nina has already remembered. When Nina gets back to Roy's role, she announces that ITV Corrie is the guilty party, and Kelly was just trying to help, and Abby's there and says, well, I know you overheard this. What did she call Simon?
Oh, I can't remember. But it was hilarious.
Yeah. So anyway, Simon's there, hears it and thinks that he can still get his hold off of Kelly, so he rushes to tell Imran, who then rushes to tell Kelly the Chin, who then rushes to assume that this news means that she's likely to get off. Nina agrees to go and tell the police and accepts Roy's offer to accompany her. Now, this was an episode on Monday that was built a lot round flashbacks and
Yes.
and characters remembering stuff, and they had that kind of drained palette of, you know, when you're to tell the difference between what's happening now and what's happening in the past.
Right.
If you can't figure it out, the one with the drained palette is the one that people are remembering. And I
The
thought
one
that
that
was
features someone who's dead now.
right. That's the clue.
Yes.
I thought that was great.
Yes.
What I didn't think was great
Was the beginning.
was the opening, where people are walking backwards. I
Yes.
felt that was... People try and do dreams so weirdly, and people do dream weirdly, but you never see an accurate representation of how you dream on screen. So it just, to me, it always looks, this is trying way too hard to be weird.
Right. And I didn't feel... I liked the music going in and out of the dream. That I thought was very effective.
Because that is something that happens, right? You wake up with a song in your head and...
You
and
realise
that's
that it's playing.
you can hear it
Right.
somewhere, right?
You're like, what?
I was just dreaming about
But, and you know, also it's a dream because you see Seb across the street, barefoot, walking along Coronation Street.
Like Paul from the cover of Abbey Road.
Correct.
Seb, question mark?
Seb is dead.
Oh, well, you couldn't raise the question mark. Right? But other than that, I thought they did it really well. And like I said, I thought that it's rare that I think you realise how important sound is to a visual.
Yes.
But here it was remarkable. It was an extra dimension to the stuff that you were seeing. I thought
Absolutely.
it was amazing. So on Wednesday,
we also get a reference to Proust and his sandwiches.
Yes. On Wednesday, it's the day of the trial and everyone's getting ready. Roy is taking the time to pack an extra bag for Nina, and as they wait in the court waiting for Nina to be called, he asks her if avoiding her look makes the baddies win, and he points out that he gets pelters from people for his look, for his haircut and for his coat and for carrying his shopping bag and stuff.
And being obsessed with railroads.
Right, and Nina says it's not the same. It is the same though. It's exactly the same. Because just like how Nina's attire isn't a costume, she's not dressing up.
No.
Neither's Roy.
No.
That's Roy being Roy.
Yes.
Just like it's Nina being Nina.
Yes.
So I thought that was a little unusual for her not to realise that.
I think what Nina was trying to say is that her look went beyond... her gothness went beyond dress and what she looked like. But at the same time, Roy's weirdness goes beyond what he looks like. So, I don't know. It seems more like a defense mechanism on her part to just say it's not the same, especially considering what happens after.
That feels a very youthful thing.
Right.
To say the last thing that you want to have pointed out to you is that you're the same as your old uncle.
Right.
But I think Roy was right, and I think it was kind of sweet of Roy to reach out and say, you know, I kind of know what you're going through here because I've been going through this my entire life.
Yes.
And he's coming from a place of knowledge on the matter, I think. So.
And also, nobody's beat Roy up over his looks.
No, but he's had verbal abuse.
This is true.
Constantly over the years for it. Anyway, the prosecution and Imran are happy to allow Nina's new statement into evidence. Sabeen, not so much, but she's outnumbered, so Nina, Sabeener.
Yes.
So we go through, during the trial has started, and we go through a brief line of people who were grabbed from a passing bus and told to act like doctors and 999 operators.
Yes.
Let's skip quickly by that, shall we?
The woman in the red lace top, she's in there with Nina in the waiting room, and then she's in the courtroom, and I think she's the stenographer, but they spend an awful lot of time on her when she's in the room waiting with Nina, and then when she goes out, and yet she never speaks.
No.
That bothered me.
Next up, it's Nina, and they make it a big reveal.
Yes, they do.
She's standing there reading out her affirmation, and you can't see her face, but you can tell that she's...
And you see everybody reacting to her walking in. You see Corrie's reaction, you see Kelly's reaction.
Abby gives a smile.
Yes, and Kelly kind of gives a little bit of a smile too. And Roy does that cute little wave from the balcony. Oh my God. So sweet.
We can talk for an hour and a half about that wave.
Yes.
This is...
And what it means to Nina and what it means to Roy. It's so good.
It means everything
to both of them,
right?
Yeah.
Because here it is. It's a connection. It's you're not alone, and I'm utterly proud of you.
Right.
And that was like so clear.
And he conveys all of that without saying a word. It's just on his face and in the wave. It's just
He smiles.
I want Roy to be my uncle.
I'd take it.
I would take it.
He manages to convey in I think it's maybe 2 seconds worth of screen time. Just the love and the pride and the admiration that he has for Nina in that moment is, it's remarkable what he manages to do. You talk
Absolutely.
about show don't tell. This is
Yeah.
this is absolutely show don't tell.
Yes.
This is enough show to be doing you for the next 22 minutes.
Give that man all the awards. Shove them at him.
But imagine being Nina in that situation where you're wearing the clothes that make you you. You're being yourself again for the first time in months.
Mm-hmm.
You're in a really hostile environment. There are people that are there that think that you're a liar, and there's people that don't trust you, and there's people there that absolutely hate you. And you look up to the balcony, and there's Roy with his smile and his wave, and you're
That's all
just
that matters.
right. Holy shit! It's just
Beautiful.
incredible.
Just so beautiful.
So Sabeen goes in hard on Nina, who's now
Right,
obviously
after she's
it's
given
in
her
her-
statement. Yeah.
she's in her full goth gear, and she's kind of smarmy to her, and she's questioning the legitimacy of her memory. She says that she has her first statement that she made where she couldn't remember anything. Then she has a graphic novel where, let's note that there are no females in this graphic novel,
No.
points out Sabeen, and we know that Kelly was there, so this isn't an accurate record either. Although nobody said that it was,
No.
right? And then now we have this new memory that's 4 months later that we're expected to believe is...
That happened like the day before this trial started.
Right, so which is true? What are we expected to learn tomorrow when another new memory comes out? Sabeen has never remembered anything in her life.
No, apparently not.
Because this is how memories work, right?
Well,
Maybe
yes.
not 4 months, but...
But she's doing her job, which is to make the jury doubt Nina.
That the juries that we never see.
No, we do see them briefly. Because there was that one man in the jury that they showed. He has grey curly hair.
I'll have to look back on that because I saw nobody in that jury. Nina is adamant, no, it was Corrie what kicked Seb to death, and Kelly tried to stop it. And you, Sabeen, you can get to fuck with your snarky expression.
Right.
And she forces Sabeen to apologise. And when Sabeen does it, she says, no, I want you to apologise properly to me.
Yes.
And the judge is like, what?
Say my name.
And Sabeen, she does it.
Yes. Eventually.
And at that point, I'm standing up applauding Nina at this point, because good for you. Just because you're there being questioned by these people doesn't mean that you shouldn't expect to get a bit of respect here. And
Right.
she's the one that's been injured.
Yes.
She's the living injured result of this
Yes.
confrontation, and she's been treated like she's a criminal.
Yeah.
No, you're fucking right, Nina. Get stuck into her. Imran just gets Nina to recap who did what.
Yes.
Nice and simple, 3 questions, and then he's done. After Nina's evidence is a break, and Sabeen, ITV Corrie, and ITV Stefan are gathered strangely round about the judges'
Yeah,
pulpit type thing.
Yeah, they're still they're like in the corner.
They're in the court.
But you can still see them and hear them from the balcony,
Right.
which is important.
And they're talking about how they think they have the upper hand, and that Sabeen thinks that she's done a decent job at introducing doubt into the jury, which is what she's supposed to do. And ITV Corrie, in a moment of madness, decides to get
Call
on his
Nina a
high
freak
horse about
again.
it and call Nina a freak, which is heard by Abby, who's
Yes.
in the gallery or the balcony or whatever. Nina, meanwhile, also thinks that losing her temper fucked up the case for them. I'm not sure I agree with
No,
that
I think
at all.
if anything, I think it made it stronger.
I thought so too.
And I think her showing up just as she is made the case stronger too. Because I think if she had gone in that drab olive grey jumpsuit that she was wearing at first,
Right.
I don't think it would have conveyed as much emotionally compared to what she ended up wearing.
Right, it makes it very hard for people to imagine when she's saying things like she's used to people staring at her and all
and
that
calling
sort
her a
of
freak and
Right.
stuff. Yeah.
Another thing to thank Roy for.
Yes.
That
In
man.
his little insulated bag. It was so cute because it was like one of those insulated food bags, and her makeup it was in like a little click and click Tupperware keep away thing,
Right.
which was so cute.
Yeah, Roy probably would know what to do there.
Yes.
Next in the dock is Asha. I wasn't sure why Asha was there, but anyway, Sabeen gets her to admit that she used ITV Corrie's phone without his consent, but she also gets her to
And
admit...
got him drunk.
Right. Not anything more than that, because he was drugged as well, remember?
Yes, but nobody knows that
Right,
except
so
for
shh, we don't talk about
Asha
that.
and
Right.
Abby.
And she also gets Asha to admit that she still loves Nina, which now pours doubt over her testimony, as Asha is proved to have a history of saying and doing anything to support the people that she's currently in love with.
Right.
Imran, though, takes another tact and focuses on the timing of the relationships that Asha had with ITV Corrie and Nina, and how ITV Corrie hated the choker that Nina got her for her birthday, said that she looked like a dog
Right.
and would throw food at her
Yes.
and stuff. And Nina hated how ITV Corrie treated her. So Imran puts it to Asha that she played ITV Corrie against Nina, made him hate her, encouraged Nina to intervene, and that was why he really attacked her. It had nothing to do with how she looked, says Imran. It was all jealousy.
Yes,
that
which is
Asha-
what we've been saying from the very beginning. So thank you, Imran.
Right.
Thank you. Kind of the way he put it, that, making it seem like, Asha was at fault for Corrie's jealousy. That I was kind of like, Asha's not responsible for ITV Corrie's reaction. And I also hated Sabeen bringing up the video, and even when Asha says, I did not give him consent to videotape me.
Right, because that
She kept talking about the video as if it was something that Asha gave consent to, when Asha clearly says, no, I didn't give consent for this to be done. And Sabeen keeps wanting to make a big deal about the fact that it was Kelly that shared it.
that was the main point that she
And,
was trying
and
to
again,
make. Which proves what?
yeah, that proves nothing. And also, let's focus on the fact that this boy that you think is so sweet and nice, who you're trying to paint in a nice light, you now, because of you, it's on public record that he recorded a young girl undressing without her consent.
Right. Back in the street.
And what is that prosecutor doing? He does
nothing.
He sits there and does nothing.
He
I
gets
think
asked.
He maybe asked 2 questions.
He made the opening remark of just 2 people walking home.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it was. 2 people walking home. And that's pretty much all you hear from him.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions, Mr. whatever your name is? No
No
questions,
problem.
my lady. No questions.
No questions.
Will you wake up?
Do something. It's like he's like, well, one way or another, one of these kids is going down for this, so I don't have to do anything.
He seems to be letting them fight it out amongst themselves. The prosecution's position is that they're both guilty.
Yes. So
And
it doesn't really matter.
he's just letting the 2 of them blame each other.
Right.
But the problem with that is if there's reasonable doubt on both of them,
Yeah.
then
Then
both of
nobody's
them
going in down.
right,
Yeah.
then both of them walk free. But I think how it tends to happen, it doesn't happen that often, where you have 2 co-defendants blaming each other.
Mm-hmm.
But what tends to happen is the jury suspects that what they're doing is they're manufacturing this so that there'll be doubt and they'll both get let off.
Right.
So we'll find them both guilty.
Yes.
Seems to be how it goes. So we'll see.
We will see.
Back on the street, Imran is approached by Dev, who is not happy at how Imran has made Asha blame herself for the attack, and she's crying herself to sleep now.
Well, maybe she should cry herself to sleep.
Imran says he hated every second of his question. He didn't seem to be hating it.
No.
But he'd do it again because Asha gets to go home tonight and Kelly the Chin
Does
doesn't.
not. Yeah.
And when Dev asks Imran how he sleeps, Imran says he doesn't.
Yeah.
He hasn't slept for weeks.
Yes.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah.
You're a bully, says Dave.
Oh.
And Imran says, you want to see me bully someone? Pop along to the court tomorrow when I'm going to tear ITV Corrie a new asshole.
Or just show pictures of puppies.
Right. You'll be happy with either.
Yes. Or both. Both is good.
The thing that we didn't mention, that you mentioned when you watched it, was Nina's reaction to the whole graphic novel thing.
Yes. Oh, we loved that. We loved that. You love to hear it.
Stop calling it a graphic novel, says Nina.
Yeah,
It isn't.
it's not
It's a comic.
even anything. And it's not, it's just barely a comic. It's just drawings. There aren't really very many
She
word
said-
bubbles or anything.
She said, and the word bubbles that I think we saw were question marks.
Yes.
This isn't meant to represent the truth. This is meant to represent Nina trying to find out what the truth was.
Yes, this is my way of processing all of this. It's not a graphic novel. You know, a graphic novel is something that people say when they don't want to say comics, and partially she's right, and partially there are things. Graphic novels are a thing. You know, not all comic books are graphic novels, and not all graphic novels are comic books. But you know, there's
All thumbs
no
are fingers, but not all fingers are thumbs.
right. Yes.
So on Friday, ITV Corrie takes a stand now and makes a fake emotional case for his innocence, claiming again that he was no match for Kelly's overwhelming power and strength.
But before this happens, we see Abby and Kev entering the courthouse. And ITV Stefan is standing with another man who also has grey hair and is very quiet
Right.
when they walk in. And
And
Abby's like, who's that guy?
And they stare at, this guy stares at Abby,
Yes.
and Abby stares back.
Yeah. Who the
And
hell's
I
that
think
guy?
if I was Abby, I'd wait for
What
him
the
to
fuck
look
are you
away.
looking at?
Right,
Who the fuck are you looking at?
asshole.
Seriously.
So anyway, ITV Corrie claims that he was no match for Kelly's strength and was terrified of Rick the Chin. He's terrified he was going to be killed.
Right, yes, because Kelly's... How can anybody...
Nobody's seen
Sitting
Rick the
in that
Chin for
courthouse.
more than 2 years.
Right, nobody's seen Rick the Chin for 2 years. This is when Gary needs to step up and say, "Oi, Rick the Chin is deed."
I can tell you right where he is.
Nobody was threatened by Rick the Chin. You know, and he makes... ITV Corrie makes it out like Rick the Chin was like some huge gangster. He was a loan shark.
Right.
There's nothing gangster about him. He would beat people up who owed him money, but that doesn't make you a gangster. It
And he
makes you a
wouldn't-
loan shark.
And he wouldn't beat you up if you had a sandwich to eat. Remember?
Or a plant to talk to.
Right. Yeah.
Remember when Rick the Chin would talk to his plants?
Yeah. He was all
Rest in peace.
he was all chin and no Rick. So now Imran has a go at ITV Corrie trying to pull a Tim's dad by goading him into admitting
Right.
that he did it. But ITV Corrie, he's seen the Tim's dad episode and,
Right.
and he knows what to do here. He starts to cry and everyone goes, "Aw."
Which, how could anybody believe those crocodile tears?
And then
Seriously.
man points out, you're 6'1" and what, 150 pounds or whatever?
Right,
Kelly's 4 foot nothing
right.
and weighs 70 pounds. You're seriously
Soaking
telling
wet.
me
That you couldn't stop her. And he's like, well, you weren't there. So...
you were there, man. That was a
Yeah,
man.
she was crazy. She was like a crazy person doing her karate chops.
Shouting hiya.
How anybody could believe this is just boggles the brain.
I know. This is his defence.
Seriously.
And nobody says to him, really?
Except for
Really?
Imran, and even then, you know, you'd think Imran would have gone harder on him.
When Eli takes a stand, he backs up ITV Corrie's story, and Kelly the Chin gets taken away when she stands up and shouts that Eli's a fucking liar, and ITV Stefan has paid him off and probably paid off the judge too.
Right, which she shouldn't have said the thing about the judge. We forgot to mention when ITV Corrie starts crying, he starts shouting for his dad. He's like, Dad! Daddy, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Dad, that I did this, Dad.
ITV Stefan is suddenly reading one of his magazines.
Which kid is this?
Right.
Oh, but it was so... I don't know. If a young man did that in court, that would make me believe him less,
I know.
not more.
He's not a credible... And I know we're kind of swayed because we know him.
Right.
But honestly, I don't think I found him credible at all.
Right. And so many people have come up on the stand and talked about how
He's a bully.
much of a bully he is,
Nasty
and
piece
how
of work.
violent he
Right.
is.
Imran goes out of his way to prove that Eli knows what mitigation means after pointing out that he couldn't really have seen what happened as he was too busy assaulting Nina at the time.
Right. Which he's already admitted to.
Right, good point. Then it's Tommy O's turn and he goes down in everyone's estimations when he goes on about how great a guy ITV Corrie is to
Yeah,
Sabeen.
apparently at one point he broke up a fight.
He broke up fights on the training pitch. He's a good guy. And Imran chooses not to mention the fact that ITV Corrie was capable of breaking up a fight between two athletic grown men.
Right.
And yet was incapable of
Lifting
stopping...
up Kelly the Chin.
Right. He misses this open goal and instead goes out of his way to prove that Tommy O doesn't really know ITV Corrie at all.
Right. Which was a fair point.
Right.
Yeah. How much are you hanging out with these young, teenage players, Tommy O? Doesn't that seem a little creepy that you'd be hanging out with him, Tommy O?
No,
How
basically...
do you know about his attendance, Tommy O?
All he said was that he hasn't played with him. Anything that he knows, it's stuff that he's been told about.
Basically, yeah, it's
And
hearsay.
let's call that hearsay, shall we?
Yes.
Nobody's objecting to any of this.
Right.
But Imran does get him to say, you don't know ITV Corrie at all. And Tommy O says, nah, not really.
No.
So
So what are you doing here?
So what was the point of that, right?
Right. The point is to do a little razzle dazzle, and Abby thinks the judge has
She
his
did.
eyes.
The judge did kind of sit up and give
For the
herself a wee
judge.
shiggle. Aye.
Right. Yes. For Tommy O.
He's a legend. He was a legend.
In his own mind.
Meanwhile, Abby has a beaner bonnet about ITV Stefan's money and something that Kelly the Chin said when she accused him of bribing people. And she discovers that the guy that she'd seen earlier is actually Eli's dad.
Which makes sense.
She says that ITV Stefan reacted to this accusation. Later, she does some research online and finds evidence that Eli's dad has been accepted into a golf club that ITV Stefan's in and has
Right.
recently received an unlikely merited promotion at ITV
Right.
Stefan's
He's
company.
been given a job at ITV Stefan's company when before he was a delivery driver for some other company.
Right.
That there are pictures of them online on Facebook, but that only happened like 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Yeah.
So it looks kind of dodgy that ITV Stefan has paid off Eli's dad to get Eli to go along with
And here's the
ITV
thing.
Corrie's story.
Here's the thing. If it was that easy for Abby, a mechanic,
Right.
to do this, searching online and finding evidence online, doing the social media forensics sort of thing. If it was that easy for her to do it, why have the police not done that, and why has Imran not done that?
Right. Or the prosecution, who are
Right.
who, once again
Right, the prosecution
nothing to
who
say
have done
anyway about this.
nothing.
And Kev, meanwhile, would much rather that Abby just came to bed.
Right.
And that's the end of this week's
Oh God,
episodes.
Kev was so annoying this week. like him with Simon, because Simon and Amy are there for part of this. They're in
Amy's
the court.
hilarious as well.
Amy's great.
I'm
Amy's
the only
great.
one in my family who's not been to prison.
Including you, cuz.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, but you have been pregnant and you have had an abortion.
But yeah, Kev decides to have a slanging match with a
With Simon.
19-year-old wee boy or whatever.
Right. Who just wants to get his hole.
Right. God bless him.
God
All he
bless
was.
him. God bless him. And makes it out. And Simon rightly points out to him, yeah, but Nina has said that Kelly didn't do it. And Kev's just like, well, let's just see about
We'll
that.
see.
What?
Yes, Kev, we will see.
Shut up, Kev.
Right.
Go back to wearing hats with feathers in them and walking around naked.
He doesn't seem to be wanting to I don't know if he's just trying to protect Abby from all this.
Right. But you can't protect Abby from all of this. And why would you want to try? She's Abby.
Right.
She's the best.
I think the sad thing from this whole thing, from Nina's point of view, is the relationship that she had with Seb, she's looking back on now as being perfect. And this is going to be the barometer for any relationship that she has
Right.
in the future. And this is what everything's going to be judged against.
Right.
So how does anyone compete with a ghost?
Right. And she now blames herself a bit for
running away.
right, and she thinks that this is why it's taken her so long to remember. Do you think they're gonna find that rucksack on Monday, floating down the river? Because
Well,
it didn't.
They've
sink.
already found blood on him. He already had blood on him.
Right, and yet he did the same. He claimed the same thing that Kelly did, that he has blood on him because he was trying to get
Right.
Kelly to stop.
I don't know, I think the rucksack is long gone, but God, on Monday when you're reminded of how convoluted that was,
Yes.
he had his training stuff in his backpack.
Right.
So he changed out the gear that he killed, or he kicked Seb with, into his other gear,
Right.
went home, washed all that. No, he stowed the rucksack, went home in one gear, took another rucksack with other clothes. He seemed to get changed like 6 or 7 times. I was like,
He had changed, and he was going to leave the rucksack by the side of that building. But then when he came out of the woods, a jogger came by, so he thought better of it and took it and went back and got the rucksack, and that's when he threw it in the river. And then he went home and he washed everything that he had on him. Although in the flashback with Asha, he's still wearing that hooded sweatshirt and laughing at Tenet, which is not a great movie and also is not a funny movie.
oh, this is killing me, he says. I think that was meant to be kind of foreboding.
Yes.
Oh, this is killing me.
Oh, it's so funny watching Robert Pattinson walk backwards.
And not masturbate in a windmill. Or a lighthouse.
Lighthouse.
Right. Your thoughts on...
Apparently the new Batman with Robert Pattinson is quite good and is like a horror movie.
Your thoughts on skating on your... this week's worth of trial stuff? I thought they did it.
I thought it was really
Exceptionally well,
excellent. And
yeah.
I said to you at one point, all of this stuff is so good. The writing's good. The direction is good. The acting is good. The cinematography is good. Everything is good. Everything is so good this week. It just makes you even angrier at the weeks and the storylines that are horrible, because this just proves that they can do good work on this show.
Last week was such a nothing burger
So bad.
of anything.
So bad.
But it's like they have the
You
slot
can-
where they know that this is going to happen in this week.
Right.
So we have to get to this week.
Right.
And we can't give anything away until we get to this week.
Right.
So they're stretching stuff out, and they're stretching stuff so thin to make it last long enough to get to the point where we're actually going to care about it again.
Yes.
It's,
But let's remember, last week they had Maria go full Britney on the underworld van because her son has asthma.
it's Maria, bitch.
Yes. It's Maria, bitch.
That should have been the storyline title. Kicking myself now. It's so obvious.
Just not too hard. Don't kick yourself.
Right, yeah. We have to fill time to get to this point. But when we get to this
can
point...
we fill time in a better way?
Well, it's... The risk that's been run is that you don't care about this by the time we actually get to the point
Right.
where it's going to be good.
It's a little frustrating that we're spilling into next week.
I knew that was going to happen. I said last week, what if this goes into the following week? And it should do. It's a murder trial. You don't
Right.
get through that in 2 days, right? But
It's still a little frustrating for us.
it's frustrating as a viewer. This needs to end Monday. This must end Monday.
Well, we have Abby having to give to the police her evidence.
And I'll tell you why this must end Monday.
Why?
Because it ain't on Wednesday.
What do you mean it ain't on Wednesday?
It isn't on. It's Monday and Friday. That's all we get next week.
What? Why?
I don't know. Football? I don't know.
Something.
So this needs to come to a conclusion Monday. And when it does, what's happening? Call it now.
With any luck, this means Corrie goes down for this.
I think the involvement of the charity stuff, it means that we can't play this clever. We can't do a Tim's dad with this and
No.
stretch it out further.
No.
We need this needs to have a conclusion where
Yes.
where evil is seen to be punished.
Yes.
So ITV Corrie has to get sent down.
Yes.
I worry for
Kelly
the Chin, because I mean, I think the show is saying that the perfect ending is that she gets off. She shouldn't get off.
She shouldn't get
She's
off.
involved in it and an instigator.
She's an accessory.
and definitely an accessory.
It frustrated me so much, though, because, you know, Corrie, when talking about her slapping Nina, you know, the way he's like, I don't know why she did it. She just did it because she's a crazy person. And it's like, she did it because you spurred her on to do it because she had a crush on you. She wanted to be your girlfriend. That's why she did the whole video thing as well. And it's so frustrating as a viewer to know this, to remember all of this, and for it not to come up and for nobody to say anything. I mean, it was such a relief this week for Imran to finally say, wait a second, Corrie has a motive. It's jealousy.
Right.
That's, you know, his motive for doing all of this. It has nothing to do with the way Nina dresses.
Well, I don't know if it has nothing to do with it. I think it certainly gave him the verbal ammunition.
Right.
But if it hadn't been dressed the way she was, if she was a overweight, balding Scotsman, just plucking that out of thin air, then Corrie would have been shouting, "Oh, you baldy bastard, you,
Right. You fat bastard.
you fat shitbag,
And you'd say, I don't eat babies in Mike Myers movies.
in my belly."
Michael Myers. No, Mike Myers. I always get those two mixed up.
Right.
It's the William Shatner mask.
That's the next Halloween movie is going to be interesting when it also gets them mixed up. That's a Canadian trying to do a Scottish accent.
Yes.
Whilst
Over and
murdering
over and
people.
over again.
Right.
Why is he so obsessed with doing Scottish accents in all of his movies?
So it would have been something.
He wants to be you.
It would have been something had
Yes.
it not been. But I think the prime motivator, I think Imran's right.
Yeah, the prime motivator
And I don't think
was
it's
jealousy.
Asha's fault.
It's not Asha's fault.
But I think she did probably, to some extent, she was with Corrie while she was loving Nina, and maybe ITV Corrie knew that.
Right. But I don't think you can blame Asha
No,
for
it's
that
not,
because
it's not a case of blaming. It's
she's a teenager and she's also, that was an abusive, grooming, intimidating relationship that she was in. She was terrified of ITV Corrie, as was Kelly. You see that.
so. Are we suggesting that Kelly the Chin is done as well? And is it murder or is it manslaughter?
I would like for him to get murder, not manslaughter, because I want him. I want him to hurt and I want him to suffer. I'm really worried about how people on the show keep going on and on about, it's two different justice systems for between us and them.
The money.
And how, the money is so important and stuff. It almost feels like the show is trying to let us down gently that Corey's going to get off. He better not get off, though.
You better not go off. I can't see how they can do that.
No.
Whilst having the charity involvement in it. The Sophie Foundation.
Oh, yes. Yeah, he's got to be sent down.
See, I think murder.
Kelly will get like. What I hope is that Kelly will get like accessory to murder and then have like time served or something.
I don't think you get months for being an accessory to murder. And murder is, remember, the intent was to kill. It was premeditated.
Yeah.
I'm not. I think that's a tough one to sell.
Do you think Kelly the Chin's mom is gonna take the stand?
I hope not.
Because that got brought back up again.
Well, in that case, it's going to happen. If it's brought up again, it's going to happen.
With Kelly buttering Imran up and saying, I don't have anybody. She's not great, but she's all I got.
Right.
You'd think he'd put Toya on the stand as Kelly.
Can't just make it an entire family affair.
Right. Because why not? The court seems to be okay with the fact that we're putting... And it's just reinforced over and over again because Sabeen still has Imran's last name. She's still a Habib.
Uh-huh. It's still Miss Habib.
Mr. Habib. I liked how the show did that thing with her name. What does Sabeen mean? What's the interpretation?
Oh, yeah, it was a
cool breeze.
Cool wind, yeah. By Davidoff.
Yeah.
Your moment of the week?
It's gotta be Roy's wave, doesn't it? Roy's wave.
It's either that or...
It's either that or Todd spilling Pat Phelan.
No, it's not. It's either Roy's wave or it's Imran's moment with Dev.
Or is it Nina saying, say my name, and going full Breaking Bad on Sabeen?
Oh, I don't know. A single moment?
I think if we're talking about a single moment, I really feel like it's Nina walking in and Roy's wave and just the build up to everybody, and
right.
then the camera panning up and seeing her behind that sheet of paper and she's back to our Nina as we want her to be.
Yeah, I think we have to. But I think doing the whole entrance thing, it does include the Roy
right.
wave. I feel sorry for Imran and Dev because that scene was fantastic as well.
But, in fairness, we give it to Imran a lot and we give it to Dev a lot.
We give it to Nina, never.
And we give it to Roy, never. They are four of our favourite characters.
One more time, with feeling then.
Nina's
entrance is
Nina
our...
entrance and Roy's wave is our...
Moment of the week.
Moment of the week.
Boring moment of the week.
Alina refreshing her phone over and over again, waiting for a text from Tyrone.
I'll go with that. That's our...
Boring moment of the week.
A boring moment of the week.
Well, let's wrap this one up then.
And spike it on the bottom.
I have a kilt to squeeze into tomorrow.
Rawr.
Rawr. If you've
Why
ever...
are you rowering? You're rowering at yourself?
I look good. I'm sorry.
You do.
If you've ever ironically missed an open goal with a footballer's testimony, write in to tell us about it. We're the talk of the street at gmail.com and we're at Corrie Podcast on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. You can shout me and Helen a coffee by heading to ko-fi.com, that's ko-fi.com/the talk of the street. Check out the clicky section of voggle.co.uk for links to our merch store and YouTube channel. And if you're so inclined, please leave a rating and a review on the iTunes or your podcast provider of choice. Thanks for making it to the end of another episode. We'll be back next week, back home with more The Talk of the Street.
And less dog. Although he's been a very good boy.
Cheerio.
Bye.